Hi Moonies, welcome to the Sailor Moon Fan Club podcast. I'm your host, Victoria L. Johnson, and I'm here with Quressa Robinson. She's a literary agent for Nelson Literary Agency, a Slytherin who slays in fashion, and of course, a Sailor Moon fan. So thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you doing?
Good, no problem. It's the afternoon and the sun is shining in my eyes.
Oh.
It's nice.
Very nice. So what was your first memory of watching Sailor Moon?
So I grew up without cable television. And so the only way I could really watch TV is, the kind of channels that were available through the antenna. Very old school. And so I think that might be about like 10 or 12 channels. And I think it was before it was the UPN. And now it's like CW now. It's been so many different iterations. Mm-hmm. But it would come on, I think, just right after school got out. And I was either at the tail end of middle school or the beginning of high school. But I saw it, and it was just a very interesting show. It had all the things that I liked. Girl friendships, romance, and Serena was like super awkward. And so that I totally related to that because I'm still super awkward, but I was very awkward then too.
Yeah, same. So you're talking like limited channels. So I'm guessing you were like a PBS kid as well.
Yes, I grew up on PBS because I think until I was like in high school, my mom thought that anything with any kind of mild sexual content was something I shouldn't see, including soap operas. So if I was home from school or I didn't go to church, I had to watch PBS. So yes, very much a PBS kid.
Yeah. I love PBS though. It was good.
Yeah, it was great.
But anyway, so Sailor Moon, so you're watching it. How were you feeling? Like, what were you thinking when you first saw it?
I thought it was cool. I thought the transformations were great. I love the music. I had never really seen anime before that, I don't think. I mean, it was also around the time of like Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. So it was like my first intro to anime as well. And I didn't know it was called anime at the time. But it was just like something that felt different from the other cartoons that I was watching. Felt a little bit more grown up and more made for me at that age that I was at. So it was just really easy to get caught up in the saga that was happening every week.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I think that might have been it for me too, actually. Just like it had like this serial, like every episode was a new story, or it added on to the story rather than like most cartoons are like very, the story's over and within the episode.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Did you have a favorite Sailor Scout you wanted to be?
I mean, I'm Usagi all the way.
Yeah, same. So what did that mean for you to like see someone who you resonated with so much, or what does Sailor Moon mean to you?
I guess for me at that time when you're growing into the person you're supposed to be, your independence, and it's a really tough time for girls, especially around going from like being a girl to being a woman. Mm-hmm. It's such an awkward phase trying to understand your sexuality, your attractiveness, like what it means to be a woman, what femininity is to you. And it was nice to see the variety of ways it was represented in the different Sailor Scouts. They weren't all the same. Like each scout had their like kind of own way of approaching what it meant for them to be a teenage girl. And I like being able to see that there was a variety of things that I could relate to, and that there was specifically in Usagi someone who I saw myself in and potentially would be the kind of woman I would eventually grow up into.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Did you have any episodes that like stood out for you? Or a moment?
I guess the season where Chibi Usa showed up was like one of my favorites. because I didn't have cable, like, it was the time before DVR, so if you missed an episode, you missed an episode. So a lot of the full storylines I didn't actually get to see until I rewatched it as an adult. But the whole Chibiusa kind of storyline of Neo Crystal Tokyo, and her coming back from the future and like not recognizing her mom, which is ridiculous. And turning into what's it called? Forget.
Oh, Black Lady?
Yeah, Black Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved it when she, like, I don't know why they aged her up, but they aged her up and made her evil and Black Lady, and that was awesome. And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite seasons too. I actually got the Black Moon Clan t-shirt from Hot Topic because it just looks so cool.
Yes.
Just like Wise Man is one of the dopest villains ever.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I saw that you also love Harry Potter.
Yes, I do.
And you were a proud Slytherin.
I am.
So when did you figure out you were Slytherin?
I think it was pretty immediate. I found the Gryffindors a little obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken the tests, and I have like a mild amount of Gryffindor in me. And I mean, obviously Gryffindor and Slytherin kind of overlap a little bit. Mm-hmm. There's a tiny smidgen of Ravenclaw and like barely a drop of Hufflepuff in me. So I'm pretty much like 90% Slytherin. It just aligned with me more. And I still think that the way it's sort of written is very two-dimensional. Like, Slytherin is only the evil house. But I think it's a little bit more complex than that they're ambitious, they're driven, they're cunning, they like winning, and they're very competitive, and that's all the things I am.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I saw on your Twitter bio that you say you speak Parseltongue when you're angry. Is that actually true?
No, but I probably should try to learn.
That would be pretty cool. I feel like that would scare anybody. Like, what is going on? So, you're a big Harry Potter fan, you're a big Sailor Moon fan. Has that ever come up with any of your friendships? Like, has anyone ever said, like you met someone and they were a Sailor Moon fan and you're like, oh, we're best friends now? Or like Harry Potter?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of my friends are from high school. So I'm still friends with them from high school. And we all had our different interests. I don't think anybody else was into Sailor Moon. I think I had one friend who was really into the Power Rangers at that time. A lot of friends were into Sanrio. So it was like everybody had their thing. So it wasn't really necessarily like you all shared the same thing. And then obviously we grew up and some of those things kind of aren't as popular anymore. And Harry Potter, I was like an adult when Harry Potter came out. So it's also kind of a different approach for me to that fandom. Mm-hmm. But so many of my friends are just nerds in general that we all kind of overlap in many different fandoms that it's just we relate to each other as giant nerds.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think that's largely it for me too, because it's kind of hard to find other Sailor Moon fans sometimes, but it's easier to find anime fans. Yeah.
I feel like so many of my clients are Sailor Moon fans, and maybe that's how they end up gravitating towards me. Yeah. And a lot of Black women I've found are Sailor Moon fans, which I find very fascinating.
I noticed that too. I was going to ask you about that too, because I noticed a lot of Black women are Sailor Moon fans, and also a lot of Black women authors are Sailor Moon fans, like Morgan Jerkins, Roseanne A. Brown, like there's a few more I've come across. Ella McKinney, who was on this show. Yeah, even Tochi Onyebuchi, mm-hmm. He's a Sailor Moon fan. So like, you've come across a few who are Sailor Moon fans in publishing?
Yes.
That's so cool.
I feel like so many editors also that I interact with are Sailor Moon fans as well. I have an agent fan who's also a Sailor Moon fan, friend, who's also a Sailor Moon fan, and it's something like we were friends already, but it's something random like I tweeted about that made her realize that we both like Sailor Moon a lot. So doesn't always come up in conversation, but I think because of social media and how much people say and follow each other and stuff like that, that it's kind of more easier to find fandoms and find people you know who like things that you like, who might not have said it in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Would you ever like go to a Sailor Moon meetup for people in publishing, I guess for authors and editors and literary agents?
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like that should happen. Like, the more I'm doing this podcast, the more I find that there are a lot of people in publishing that are Sailor Moon fans, and I think there's some good overlap there.
Yes, there's a lot of overlap.
So you're a literary agent. Can you explain a little bit like what that means and like what's your day-to-day life look like when it's not coronavirus?
So a literary agent is a person who represents the best interests of their clients, who usually are writers, novel writers. And so they often have multiple clients that they're working for. They're sort of the mediator between the client and whoever decides to work with them. So publishing companies, typically, sometimes corporations, like if they do licensing projects, like something like a Disney property or Star Wars or something like that. And we negotiate their pay and other things on their behalf, so they don't necessarily have to worry too much about that, because we're the experts in what are standards and what are the best things for each clause in a contract that we should strive for. In a typical day to day, I don't really have a typical day to day. I mean, a lot of people ask me about that, but it really, like, any day that I have a plan of what I'm going to do and a checklist, like, none of those things ever happen because so many other things pop up. A good chunk of my day is email, so it's checking and responding to emails. It's a lot of phone calls to editors and contract people, sometimes clients or potential clients. I'm an editorial agent, which means I do editorial development edits with my clients before we go out on submission. So there's a lot of editing in my life. I'm working on 2 projects right now that I'm trying to get ready for submission. There's a lot of reading. We have to read our query pile, but there's also the full manuscripts we've requested that we also have to read. So we're trying to fit that all into the stuff that you have to be doing for your clients. Don't have as many meetings, but we do have a weekly meeting where we talk about with my fellow agents, where we talk about anything we want to represent, or submissions, things that are out on sub, progress for those, if we're getting ready to go out on sub, if our list makes sense, if anything has happened that we've heard about with a publishing house or an imprint or an editor, things like that. I'm sure there's tons of other stuff that I do that I probably am forgetting as well.
Yeah. I find that to be the case with a lot of jobs. It's like I listed a bunch of things. There's probably like a million other things I forgot.
Yeah.
How did you become a literary agent?
Well, I started off as an editor first. I was on the editorial side for about 3 years, and it is a very long process to move up, depending on like luck and just hard work and perseverance. You could, like, your boss could leave and you could be promoted, or, you know, you could stay under your boss for forever. And so I got tired of being an assistant and decided that I would have more say over my list, and that it probably would fit my personality better to become an agent. And so I decided to quit my job as an assistant editor and then move over to the agenting side.
That makes sense. And now that you are one, so what would you say the funnest part of being your job is and the hardest part?
I mean, the funnest part is always presenting an offer to a client. I've done a couple of those this week or this month. even with the craziness that is going on.
Yeah.
And it's just like that, even for clients who've already had publishing deals to get a new one, they are just as excited. So that's great. The hardest part are the rejections, whether it's a rejection from a potential new client or a rejection from an editor for a client's project. It's just can be very disappointing because you know that with a project that you missed out on, that you would have been a great, advocate for that person. And it can be tough when you see it sell. And for your own clients, you obviously want all of their books to sell and you want them to have careers. And so when it isn't necessarily the first book that you go out on sub with, and the passes keep coming in, it can feel very discouraging, and you have to kind of be the person to uplift them and help them keep going.
That makes sense. So you have some books, though, that you sold coming out.
Do.
Which ones are you excited, or I guess probably excited about all of them. So which ones do you have coming out, and what are you excited about them coming out for?
So you mentioned Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
Her book is coming out in June. It's her debut. So that's a fantasy. Really excited for that. The paperback of Slay should be coming out as well in June.
Nice.
And I have an adult client who has the second book in their space opera series that's coming out in September. So that's pretty exciting as well. And there's stuff that's coming out next year that some of it hasn't been announced yet. But the second book for Rosie will be coming out. Her series is duology. And the sophomore book for my client Brittany Morris should be coming out next year as well. So people should stay tuned for more announcements about that. And some other secret things that I can't talk about are coming out as well.
So secret things.
So many secret things.
That's actually how I found you, through Brittany Morris's Slay. I looked through her thank you and acknowledgments, and I was like, oh, let me check this out, this literary agency, and went down a rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, there's this literary agent who's a Sailor Moon fan. Yeah. And then, so Rosie's book I know is called A Song of Wraith and Ruin.
Yes, Song of Wraiths and Ruin.
Wraiths and Ruin. And then, what about the adult space opera?
So the first book in the series is called Chilling Effect, and the book that's coming out this fall is called Prime Deceptions.
Ooh, that sounds awesome. And can you give us a little bit about what each are about?
Sure. So, Rosie's duology is about two teens, kind of at different ends of socioeconomic status. One is Malik, who's like a refugee. He's coming into the capital city to kind of get away from the turmoil that's happening in his home. And Karina, who's the crown princess, who seemingly seems spoiled and kind of rebellious, but it's sort of masking the soft center. And each of them needs to kill each other to save their family members. So it's kind of like a very fast-paced kind of action, but magic and West African mythology and a little bit of romance and some stabbiness going on there. And with Valerie Valdez, who is the adult client, her books are about a crew of a spaceship called La Sirena Negra, and their captain, Eva Inocente, is what I call a competent fuck up. She's really good at her job, but she also ends up getting herself into situations that she shouldn't be in constantly. And so it's kind of just her adventures, with her family, who are also getting her in trouble, and her crew, and a little bit of romance as well. It's a little bit of Mass Effect meets A Long Way from, I forgot the name of that book. A Long Way from something planet.
A Long Way from Home?
No. Let me look it up.
Who's the author?
The author is...
Let's see. A Long Way from Chicago by Richard Peck.
A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Becky Chambers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a mouthful, so I always forget, like, half of the title.
Yeah.
But it's very kind of light and fun, but also has some serious undertones in there as well.
Cool. And Brittany Morris's second novel, is there any information on that out yet or no?
No, I can't really talk about that one.
Got it. Okay. I wasn't sure, so I was like, gotta ask. Okay.
I mean, there's a cover, there's a title, there's a manuscript, but I can't talk about any of that right now.
No problem at all. I understand.
It's good.
Secrets.
The cover is amazing. I can tell you that.
I'm so excited. I mean, the cover for Slay was amazing, so I can only imagine. I mean, there's been so many amazing covers.
I feel like I've been very lucky to get, like, all my client covers are amazing. Like, I don't have any that I hate.
Yeah. A Songs of Wraiths and Ruin looks like amazing. Like, I want to buy it just for the cover, and the map, and the story sounds amazing too. But
it's gorgeous, and I can't wait till I actually have a finished copy in my hand, because all I have are galleys at the moment. But there's probably going to be some fancy stuff on the cover. I think there might be embossing or maybe foil or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. No, it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. So back to, I guess, not necessarily Sailor Moon, but you mentioned that, like, Sailor Moon was, like, the first anime you watched. Have you watched other anime or read any other manga?
I mostly watch anime. I can't remember any titles, but there was one that I was watching about people who turned into, like, giant people.
Is it Attack on Titan?
Yeah, Attack on Titans. I watched that, but I also watched the live action, which was surprisingly great. What I've been watching recently is Castlevania, which is sort of anime-ish.
Yeah, I think that counts.
And I really like Castlevania a lot. Avatar, which is sort of anime-ish. And the spin-off Korra, I'm watching that. Watching The Dragon Prince.
Oh, yeah.
Which I really like as well. There's another one, like Saint Seiya. Not the old one, but there's a new one on Amazon.
I heard about that.
Yeah. It's like the Knights of, like, Athena or something like that. It's really cool. And it's Knights of the Zodiac. And there's another one that's sort of like I think it's called, like, Animagus Bride, and sort of like Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That one was cool. Yeah, I saw the first few episodes, and I told myself I was going to keep up with it, and then I didn't.
Yeah, I think I've watched about 5. I have to go back to it. I just get distracted by other shows and work. So I'm always watching multiple series at the same time.
Same. Yeah, I was talking to my friend the other day, and just, like, there's just so much between books and TV shows and, you know, anime, K-dramas, American shows, and video games, and then work on top of that. It's a lot to keep up with.
Yes.
I think it's the Ancient Magus Bride.
Yes, that's it.
Awesome. Thank God for Google. Because I have such bad memory.
Yes, I never remember titles.
Me neither. It's so bad. And I'm like, I promise I'm a fan. I just don't remember. So on top of talking about, like, media, like, is there anything you're currently reading or any books that you're not representing that you're excited about coming out?
excited about coming out? Not this year. I think am still sort of stuck in 2019 a little bit. 2020 has been so weird so far.
True.
And so I've kind of a reading list now of like a lot of the kind of books that came out in the last couple of years, but especially last year, that I'm trying to read. So I've been reading The Grace Year, and Merciful Crow, and The Queens of Innis Lear. And those are all like, I'm either close to finish on all three. I read multiple books at once, which is, from being a lit major, like it's something I'm used to doing. And Hazelwood, I have that on my list because I know the sequel came out last year, so I want to, or this year, one of these years. So I want to kind of catch up on that story as well. I think that's mainly it. Those are the top of mind for me.
You mentioned like reading multiple books at a time. I do it sometimes too. Do you ever accidentally blend storylines?
No.
Oh wow. Yeah.
No, I think because I was a lit major for undergrad, and I literally would like load up and it was on a quarter system, so it was like every 10 to 13 weeks or something was a quarter, and you were switching classes. So I had like 3 lit classes a quarter sometimes, and so it's like 3 different classes with 3 different theories happening and 3 different texts. And so like I learned how to like compartmentalize and keep it all separate.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's always an interesting thing for me because I'll read like 3 books and I'll find like some similarity, and I'm like, wait, was this character's backstory, or was this character's backstory? It's a weird place to be in, but it's kind of fun sometimes because you'll find like similar themes between them, and I don't know. Yeah. But kudos to you, because that's an awesome talent to have or to have developed.
It probably helps with my job since I have to do multiple things at once.
Right, that too. That makes sense. So yeah, you just really like trained for this in a way. So other thing I noticed between some photos I saw of you is that you always like of the photos I've seen, you always have like really brightly colored hair and like lipstick. So like, what's been some of your favorite colors or brands for lipsticks or for hair colors?
There's this website called Objections. It's where I get my braiding hair from. And growing up, like, there wasn't as much variety of things like this for dark-skinned girls. It was like the idea of wearing brightly colored lipsticks and drawing attention to yourself. It's like they didn't even really make lipsticks that would match darker skin tones. So it always felt like you had to like wear neutral stuff and browns or whatever to match your skin. So when I realized that, hey, all these colored lipsticks actually look pretty good on me, I just started buying them up. And I love Makeup Forever. Most of my lipsticks are Makeup Forever. I love ColourPop. There's NYX that has this liquid lipstick that dries matte that I really love, with a bunch of colors from. And with Objections, they have braiding hair that comes in a lot of different colors. So that's where I get all my colored braiding hair from. So I've had rainbow colored braids, which I think is still my favorite. I've had like light pink twists and light blue twists and green twists. And so I'm always looking for what is the next color I'm going to do, and I don't know yet, but that'll be where I get it from.
How do you decide on the color you want? Or just...
Sometimes I ask my partner. Last time I asked Twitter, and I probably will go with the one that they suggested. It was sort of a tie, though, between a couple of colors that were multiple colors with the sort of ombre thing going on, a bunch of blues and purples in it. And I've also wanted to do like maybe white or gray, So it's kind of just like an impulse buy. So we see like when I'm on the website what ends up in my cart. So
yeah. I think Instagram can be an inspiration for me sometimes too. Like picking hairstyles. I'm like, oh, this looks nice. I like save it for later, bookmark it.
Yeah.
That's cool. And you mentioned ColourPop. Were you able to snag the Sailor Moon collection?
No, I'm so mad about that.
Yeah.
It was like gone instantly.
It was crazy. Like, it was really intense.
It feels like they didn't understand like how epic like Sailor Moon fans are. Like they should have gotten twice as much as they got.
Yeah, they were not prepared for the amount of people who love Sailor Moon and want Sailor Moon products. Yeah. And so didn't get the ColourPop, sadly. Is there any other item you've purchased from Sailor Moon or from Harry Potter or another fandom that you're like super proud of?
Oh my god, I feel like it's gonna be like most of my fandom stuff is Sailor Moon. I do have like a Star Wars lightsaber. I have a red one because I also identify with the Sith. So I have a red lightsaber. I have an Elder Wand that I got from the Harry Potter studio in London. But I have so much Sailor Moon stuff. I got a Sailor Moon Sailor Scout wall calendar this year. I have a bunch of framed art in my house from Jen Bartel.
Oh, yeah.
So many nice things. I actually have the Black Lady one, which is great.
Nice.
But also like the modern one with all the Sailor Scouts sitting down in it. I also have a Sailor Moon Monopoly set, which was ridiculous because I already had a Monopoly set. So I bought it just because it was Sailor Moon.
We don't judge. I almost bought it too, and I don't even like Monopoly, so...
I mean, I play Monopoly like maybe once every 2 years, but it's really pretty.
Yeah, it was really pretty.
I have Sailor Moon and Luna Fun Pop. I have the Chalice, Chibi Usa's Wand, and the Sailor Moon Heart Compact that plays like lights and the transformation music. I got a gift of the Sailor Moon Compact necklace that I wear all the time. I have a Sailor Moon throw pillow. It's a black Sailor Moon, and she has like Afro puff meatballs.
Oh, is that from Adorned by Chi?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got like a Sailor Moon manicure last year. So
nice. Where'd you get that?
There's this place here, Art Something, that does like custom designed art for you, and so I was like, give me Sailor Moon. And they came up with something, and it was really awesome. They like actually made the compact on one of my nails.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is it Art Nail NYC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I told you I don't know any names.
Yeah, no, I Google everything. Literally just like, I put in Art Nail NYC, and it was Art Nail NYC. I was like, oh, cool, that's easy.
I think I posted pictures on Twitter, so.
Ooh, okay. So I'll look for that. Yeah, I've been wanting to do that. I actually just found out that there's a Sailor Moon themed nail salon in Queens. Yeah, so I really want to check that out once quarantine is over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have to go now.
Yeah, me too. There's like a big like Sailor Moon mural, and I'm guessing the owner is a Sailor Moon fan, but it's called Sailor Moon Nail and Spa, and it's in Flushing.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna make an appointment immediately.
Definitely. Yeah. But yeah, no, you have all the stuff, and that is so cool, and I'm jealous of half of it. And so back to a little bit about publishing. Do you have any advice for someone who wants to get into publishing, or through either if they want to be a literary agent or get into publishing, or if they want to send you a query letter, and like what captures your eye, I guess?
Getting into publishing, if you're talking about like working for a publisher and an agency, it's just being determined and being good at networking. It's very hard to get a foot in the door, but once you get in, kind of is sort of an apprentice model, so you have to work under someone for a number of years and learn what they do before you can go off and do it on your own. But it does take a long time, so you have to be pretty determined if you really want to work in publishing. The same is true of being a published author if you're going the traditional route. Most people don't get an agent from the first manuscript they query. Most people don't get a publisher from the first manuscript that their agent sends out on submission. It's a process. It could be the 5th manuscript that goes out on sub, or it could be the 5th manuscript that you query. So you can't really give up if traditional publishing is the route you want to go. In terms of query letters, I mean, just well written, I think it's standard. I like brevity a lot because there's so many of them that I want to be able to quickly scan to get the gist of what the book is about, so I can know whether or not I have any kind of amount interest. And then really strong manuscript, because I ask for sample pages, the first 10 pages. And if I get the full manuscript from that, and pages 11 through whatever aren't that great, then, you've sort of wasted a chance. So make sure not just the first part of the book is good, but the whole book. So that's really important, working on your craft. I don't really have any particular things I'm looking for right now in terms of content. I really am looking for middle grade right now. I'm also looking for adult science fiction and fantasy right now. I do get a lot of YA, and I'm not saying to stop sending me YA, but a lot of my clients are YA authors. I'm getting a lot of YA in my inbox. So just be cautious that if you do send me YA, that I'm being a lot more particular with what I'm asking to see and what I'm adding to my list.
Cool. Yeah, I think... Cool. Yeah, thank you for that. Hopefully it's informative to any Mooney listening. And so just like Sailor Moon, at the end of every episode, she had the Sailor Moon Says PSA. What would be your PSA? So Sailor Quressa says.
Sailor Quressa says, let the haters hate. Your opinion of yourself is the only one that matters.
Ooh, I like that. Let their haters hate. Oh, that was perfect. And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
I am on Twitter. It's QNR is awesome. You can probably Google my first name and a bunch of ridiculous things will come up. Because I'm the only Quressa. Our website is NelsonAgency.com. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm not as good at Instagram as I am at Twitter. But you can find me posting a lot of the same pictures that I post on Twitter on Instagram.
Yeah, I find that a lot with some writers too. Especially me. I think I'm better at Twitter than Instagram too.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. I think words more than pictures, maybe. Or sharing pictures. But yeah, so thank you so much for being on. This was awesome. You're great.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Thanks. And then once again, I'm Victoria L. Johnson. You can find me at Miss Old School. It's Old School with a K, and that's both on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find the podcast at Moonies Club on Twitter and Moonies_Club on Instagram. And thank you again for listening. And thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.